let's stop at this point for now. Again, Colossians 4 from verse 7. Well, he's as he said, he finished everything, and then now he starts to mention certain names. Starting with whom? Tychicus. Who is Tychicus? According to this, he is the one who, according to the end of the epistle in verse 18, this salutation by my own hand, Paul, remember my chains, grace to be with you. And then it's written after this that this is by the hand of Tychicus and Onesimus. So Tychicus was the person who actually took the epistle and delivered it to them. We know that Onesimus is the one who went from Colossae to Rome to St. Paul and to give him the news. But as we will hear, that Onesimus did not go back, he stayed there. So who's the one who did that? Would be Tychicus, right? And the same thing is actually in Ephesians. The same person, the end of the epistle of St. Paul to the Ephesians, also written to the people or the church of Ephesus from Rome by the hand of Tychicus. So it's like a messenger of St. Paul, very important person and very trustworthy person, that he would take the writings of St. Paul and deliver it to the people, right? So that's what he was starting with here, that he is, he's sending this to Tychicus, or to them through what does he call him? He calls him beloved brother, faithful minister, and fellow servant in the Lord. Beloved brother, faithful minister, and fellow servant in the Lord. And again, here you're seeing that St. Paul is the head, but he still called him what? A brother, right? So he not performing any kind of authority or even mentioning or hinting that he is of less level or less rank or less anything. You see, he talks to him about that what he's a brother, he's a minister, and he's a servant, right? And it's interesting when you see all those things in a person that is accompanying St. Paul during imprisonment and during hard times and during hardships, right? But he is one of those that stayed and was able to do this. As I said before, away from Tychicus and Onesimus, because we'll get back to those again. But the list of the names from verse 10 is again the three Jews who are Aristarchus, Marcus, and Justus. Right? Aristarchus, Marcus, and Justus. And let me skip Onesimus and let me skip Tychicus, or we talked about Tychicus a little bit. Onesimus, we know who is Onesimus. The name is very familiar. A slave. What did he do? He's a thief. He stole, right, from Philemon, and then ran away. He went to Rome, a big city that he can hide there. He can just, mingle with anybody else, and nobody can catch him. Because if he would have been caught, he would have been killed. During his stay in Rome, he met with St. Paul, and he converted. And St. Paul took him as his own, right? And with that, as we see, and as we if you go to the epistle of Philemon, how he is actually telling him to receive him again as myself, right? So that's Onesimus. But let's leave this, because eventually we'll study Philemon also, and we'll go through it more and more. But let's start with Aristarchus, John Mark, and Justus. As we said, we'll start with the first category of men who stayed. As I said, these three men are from Jew background, right? We'll actually add one more name from the second. The second group is whom? Is Luke, and who else? Epaphras and
Timothy.
Not Timothy. Demas, right? Demas. So let's add Luke to the first three. Why is that? Why is that? Because these people actually, each one of them was in the midst of trouble, in the midst of all the challenges, that they actually stayed. We know, for example, Aristarchus. Aristarchus is one we can read it in different parts of the scripture, but just to remind ourselves that he's the one who went through the riot, the Jews' riot, when they tried to kill St. Paul and those who were with him. Aristarchus also is one that followed St. Paul in different missionaries and different trips. So he was in different times of surviving the storms and the shipwreck and all those things. Aristarchus also was one of those that went, and actually some of the commentators said that he is willingly made himself a slave to St. Paul so he can serve him during his imprisonment. So willingly, I just want to serve you, so count me as your slave. So you can. We know that the last time or the last imprisonment of St. Paul, he had some of the freedom that people can come in and out and can visit him and can see him and can stay with him and so forth. So it's a house arrest more than actual prison, right? So with that, Aristarchus was the one that he found pleasure in what? In serving, right? So again, if we look at those things and we look at ourselves, a person that is with all the struggle, with all the tribulation, but he decided to what? To stay with him. And that's what he's talking about here when he talks about Aristarchus, that he goes, how does he describe him? My fellow prisoner greets you, my fellow prisoner. He's imprisoned with me, but he has been with me. He has been with me. And when you ask yourself again, like, what did these people see in Paul? Why was so much attraction, so much commitment, and so much love and will to stay with him in all those times, in all those different tribulation, different circumstances? What did they see in St. Paul? They saw Christ. They saw the love of Christ. They saw the light, as we said before, the light that was surrounding him when the Lord appeared to him. So, and that's exactly what St. Paul himself said, right? It's not me, but it's him, right? And that's what he said, imitate me as I imitate him, right? So all what St. Paul was doing was pointing at the Lord. So with that, people, whoever was with him, they saw Christ in him. So when he brings that name again, fellow prisoner, fellow worker, went through the riot in Ephesus, went to the prison with him in Rome, and written in Acts, written in several places. He stayed with him no matter the circumstances were. So he's very, very, very worthy to be mentioned. Right? Here, by the way, if you look at the verse 10, Aristarchus, my fellow prisoner, greets you. So he's not saying anything else other than what? He's just saying hello. Right? He's just saying hello. Like, why again? Why? Because he wants to bring that character, like this is the person that actually, again, remember again that St. Paul at this point is about to die. So he's pointing out that character. Again, as I said earlier, the human, the value of the human that has been changed and has been touched by Christ in order to live that love. And as William was saying earlier on, is the bond of the fellowship together. It's not only me. So when he says that Aristarchus is greeting you, in a way he's saying what? It's not just me again. Right? Because now there's no difference between Aristarchus and between Paul. It's not just me who was sending you greetings, no, him also. So what does that mean to us again? So we can make this relatable to our life and our understanding. What does that mean? Again, imagine a person that is in prison, the person that is ready to die. And then he is looking around him and identifying people, acknowledging people, and thanking people, and presenting people to the others. What does that tell us? What do you think? Definitely, definitely. He is thinking about the future of the church, the future of the service, the future of the bride that himself said, I want to present the bride what? Unblemished, without wrinkle. So he's thinking about that. He's thinking about what God has entrusted from the beginning. If you remember, the Lord told him, what you are, what? A chosen vessel for me. You will die, you will be imprisoned, you will be persecuted, but I want you as a vessel for me, for my church. So he kept that mindset till the end. With all the distractions, with all things, is very, 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 as we said before, single and simple mind, single eye. This is what I'm doing. So what I'm doing right now is presenting those people to you as what? Because this is the future of the church. I will be gone. But remember, there is someone that is called Aristarchus, that at one point he will be your leader. See the point? It's not about me. It's not about me. And if you take that mindset in our relationships, in our homes, in our everything, it's very, very, very interesting mindset. He would have easily said, okay, remember everything that I taught you, right? Don't ever forget one letter. I have labored so much for that. Which at one point he said in a different way, different context, but that wasn't the point. He was defending God and he was defending the message. But here, as he is ready to die, he is saying what? It wasn't about me. There is somebody else you might have known, might have not known, but that Aristarchus is the one that is sending you greetings because he will be my successor after this. Acknowledge him. Forget about me. Right? And if we have that mindset in our relationship with each other, it would be very, very, very liberating, actually. But in every relationship that we have, if you think about any problem that we have, because it's me, right? I have to have an impact in you. I have to have my fingerprint on whatever project I do, whatever authority I have, whatever thing. Even in the service, even in the church, it shouldn't be about me as the priest and the head of the church. It should be about those who serve with me, whom I present to the people. Here is so and so, here is so and so. They are the one who are carrying on. We are all one team together. Fellow, again, fellow what? Minister, fellow worker, fellow servant. It's a very, very important mindset. Very important mindset. And I believe that's why the church survived. If it was a one-man show after St. Paul is dead, it would have easily went down. But what he was doing is establishing and putting the foundation. It's not a one-man show. It's not my service. It's not my preaching. Yes, I am the epistle or the apostle of the Gentiles. It's not about me. So here you go. Aristarchus is what? Is sending the greeting. Just a hint. Remember him. That's basically what he's saying. It's, remember that name. He's sending, he is a fellow worker with me. He is like me. And he will carry on. I'll be gone, but he is. It's interesting also to know that the name actually means the best ruler. Aristarchus or Archie from two words actually, or Archos, that means the best or the head, the best ruler. The best ruler. So he's presenting for them a best ruler. He's saying hello, and he will be actually even better than I. So that's one person of people who stayed. Who else? Mark, John Mark. That's a big story. St. Mark, our great St. Mark, the founder of the Coptic Orthodox Church, right? At one point, what happened between him and between St. Paul and between Barnabas? Different ways. And at one point, St. Paul said, I don't want him anymore, right? Don't bring him with me. And because here, by the way, this is from this chapter, we know that St. Mark and Barnabas were what? Cousins, because that's what it says here, right? and Mark, the cousin of Barnabas. So that's I believe this is the only time it's mentioned that Mark is the cousin of Barnabas, right? And again, at one point they separated. They were fighting. Whether Saint Mark was has his own reasons or own mindset or own justification why he left Saint Paul at one point, we don't know. But we know that Saint Paul was mad at him. Like, I don't want him anymore. He's not good for me anymore. He's probably still youth and still young, and he has all those crazy ideas. No, I don't want him. Which, by the way, a lot of the father says that because of that he was blessed because he went back to Jerusalem, and from there he went to Egypt. So if they wouldn't have departed at that point, St. Mark wouldn't have gone to Egypt, right? But now he's saying what about St. Mark? About whom you received instructions. If he comes to you, welcome him. They must have learned or heard somehow that they are not in a good term. So here we go again. Mark is coming, and we know that's not a good term with St. Paul. Then we should give him a hard time and maybe not accept him. Again, we talk about people who stayed. Mark, even though he was in a personal probably disagreement with St. Paul, but at one point he came back again, and he knew that it's not about him. It's about how God is using him. And as we said, if they wouldn't departed, they wouldn't have the chance to go to Egypt and to write the gospel of Saint Mark in Alexandria, right? But as I said early on, also when he is bringing Mark to the scene, he is validating him as the writer, because he knew that we said this before probably. Where did Saint Mark get all his information to write the gospel of Saint Mark? Remember? Peter, exactly. So he took all the stories, all the sayings, everything from St. Peter and wrote it, right? So here is actually, when he talks about Mark, he's validating that Mark took everything and listened and heard and learned from St. Peter, and then he wrote something, right? But again, the point, if we're making that classification of people who stayed, Mark had left, right? And Mark could have easily said, okay, what, I am not in this thing anymore. This is so much trouble. We can't get along together. That Paul that's talking about this and that and love, he couldn't even accept me. He could have said all those things, right? And that's a great example of people who disagree, but still love each other. It doesn't mean that if I disagree with you, it doesn't mean that I hate you. Doesn't mean that I'm gonna go my way because my way is right and you are wrong. No. And that's why St. Paul made sure that he mentions his name before his life is ending. He said, remember, Mark, receive him, right? He's good. He's okay. We're okay now. He could have used that like, okay, you know what, remember that, and he gave me some trouble. I'm just gonna just erase him from my mind. This is how we would act, right? Again, people who stayed, people who, even though he at one point left, and maybe left with bitterness, left with disagreement, left with whatever, because actually that was the start of the problem also between Barnabas and between Paul, because of Mark, because you know that's my cousin. You should deal with him and should treat him in a good way. I know this guy. But with that, St. Mark came back again to the point that St. Paul says, no, receive him. And later on, he talks about him that in 2 Timothy 4, that he is benefit. He is good for the service when he talks to St. Timothy about it. The third person in this group is a very, very kind of vague character in verse 11. And Jesus, who is called Justice. And it stops at this point. Right? And that name is not mentioned in the Bible with any other details at all. Yeshua al-Mad'u Justus. And some people said that maybe he's actually pointing out at actually Jesus Christ himself. But, people can start whatever, but I don't want to confuse you. I don't want to just like say that one of the people that was or had a great impact on St. Paul service, but nothing enough to be mentioned. But even that person was what? Was mentioned, right? Again, how does that relate to us? You know, a lot of times, whether in the service or in any other field, that, you know, we are not recognized, right? And we feel that bitterness sometimes, or we start to compare, you know, how come my manager said so and so about this, and I've been working so hard all my life, and I gave this company all what I can, and they never acknowledge me, right? Common scenario, right? Again, remember from before, they said that whatever you do, you're doing for whom? For Christ, right? I'm not saying to forfeit your rights or to be passive, no, but in a way, what he's trying to figure out, what he's trying to say here, that even that person who is no one, but he mentioned him, and without any details, just one part of a verse, not even a verse, right? And Jesus, who is called justice, full stop, period. Who is that? We don't know, but he is so important somehow that he mentioned him, although nobody knows what he did. Right? What does that tell us again? Because this is very important point, that you know, not necessarily what I do has to be acknowledged by people, right? But maybe he did something that is very, very, very tiny, or very unknown, or very not worthy to mention. But to St. Paul was what? Was one of the pillars, one of the names that he actually wanted to, again, remember, he is doing what he's mentioning, or putting the foundation for people, that when he leaves, these people are well known throughout Minor Asia, all, not just Colossae, because that's what we'll see at the end of the epistle. He said, read this in Laodicea and Hierapolis, and from there to all Minor Asia. So he's actually spreading those names around this particular very important part of the world, to say that these people are the people who will continue the ministry. Continue the ministry. Yes.
One of the two that were replacing Judas called justice as well. When the disciples cast out.
When Matthias and, but not this person. Not this person. Yes.
It was Matthias and justice.
Matthias and who?
Are you talking about when they were replacing Judas in Acts?
Yes.
I think it's Acts chapter 1 or chapter 2.
Yes, Bishoy. No, it's right, not on my, it skipped my mind right now. I can't get it. But that's not the same person. Yes. So all these people are, again, people who stayed with him, right? And able to come back again, and able to.
Yeah, I think the justice in Acts, his name was Joseph, also called Barsabbas.
Yeah, exactly, Barsabbas. That's what I want to say. Thank you. Yes, yes. So it's not the same Jesus justice. Yes, yeah. Another part, or another one of this list, which is actually Luke, and Luke, as the we know from here, actually, and this is the only place that we know from Luke, that from this passage, that Luke was a physician, because that's what he says here, right? So Luke, the beloved physician, Luke the beloved. And Luke, we know that from the book of Acts, we know that Luke accompanied St. Paul in everything till the end. Actually, at the end, he says, Luke only is the only one that is left with me, everybody else. So with all the struggles, with all the thing, and being a physician at that time is very, very, very high, high position, high rank. So for him to be like that and to manage and to be with St. Paul throughout all the imprisonment, throughout all the storms, the shipwrecks, the riots and everything. Again, it's the one thing that is very, 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 there must be something different. Must be something different that allowed St. Luke to actually remain with him and to follow him and to write. And that's what we're talking about here today is beside all those names and beside everything else, there is something much, much deeper than that, which is again, the human character that can be touched and can be empowered and can be depressed and can be encouraged and can be scared. But what St. Paul is talking about here in mentioning those names is, again, the value of the human being, right? As somebody that has the choice. At one point, all these names, the 4 names, they all had the choice at one point to do what? To leave. Like, why would I do that? What am I getting out of this? Right? By all means, there is nothing good in a way that I'm getting out of this. Right? But there must be something. They must have valued something, not the same way we value things. Just for example, when we go mission, for example, and before, we try to recruit people to go, and we're gonna go, for 2 weeks and so and we try to, like, people ask, okay, so what are you doing? What is it like? Like it's tough. It's not easy. You will live in such kind of life and conditions are so and so, and maybe there's some kind of risk in this and that. So. And then, like, no, why would I do that? Why would I do that? And honestly, a lot of people say, no, I don't want to do this. I'm so busy. I have a beautiful opportunity of internship. I cannot leave it. Again, I'm not saying those things are wrong. But what is it? What is that motivation? What is the driving force to make me make a decision like that? On the other hand, we have people like, no, I want to go. I want to give even a year out of my life to serve the Lord in a way. Why don't we have more people like that? Why the work of God become very, very, very hard and very, actually, you've taken something out of your own skin, out of your own self. And when you mention those names, when you see the story behind each one of them, it's mind-blowing. Like, why did they last all that much? Again, there's nothing good. You look at the whole life of St. Paul and the whole life of the book of Acts, and there is nothing good out of it. I was reading one time, in 2 Corinthians, when St. Paul talking about, the things that he did, and he goes like, it's the worst resume ever for anybody. Talking from the professional point of view, the worst resume. Imprisoned, beaten, almost killed, shipwreck. Like, if you're presenting a resume for anybody, this is a failure. You're a failure. What are you boasting about? So from our mindset, from the professional mindset of this day and age, those people are actually, they are failures. They wasted their life for nothing. And that's why this part is very important. That's why we need to take our time to see examples like that. And how we can, maybe not us, maybe our kids, maybe our congregation, maybe our people. How can we get that mindset of people that they say, no, I will go beyond, even though it is a loss. And that's exactly what St. Paul says, right? I consider everything what? As rubbish, it's loss, for the sake of the knowledge of the Lord. Why would St. Luke, a physician, go and stay. Again, we're talking about people who stayed with St. Paul throughout all the mission, all the journeys, and all the struggle until the end, while he could have easily lived a better, beautiful life. Why would somebody like Aristarchus says that I want to be bondservant, I want to be your slave because I don't want to leave you. I will serve you as long as you are living, as long as I'm living. And St. Paul talks about him as what? A fellow prisoner. Like, there's nothing good about that. And that's the big question. How can we change the mind of our people nowadays? To look at things, to value things where actually the true value is. Again, back to the example of the mission. Like, we really, I remember it wasn't like this before. The first time we went on a mission back in 2012, we had like 35 people with us. Everybody like, we want to go. Nowadays, every time you approach somebody, especially, with all respect, especially the college kids, like, they're so much into their life. I can't waste an opportunity. I have to do this. I have to work in the summer. I have to, okay, that's fine. That's perfect. That's good. I'm not saying you're bad. But do you consider taking 2 weeks off to serve? Not necessarily college kids, ourselves. Whenever we have an opportunity to serve, say it's a Sunday, as we do Focus, for example, Sunday evening after a long day, and we need some volunteers. It's a long day, it's a long week, it's time, it's Sunday, I have to rest. Again, I'm not judging anybody by any means. Anybody, please don't take it. But I'm just seeing the mindset that we are sucked into without noticing. Like, no, there are other things that I can do. Maybe I should go have dinner with my family today. It's better. I know people are very, very, very busy, and they dedicate every Sunday to serve over there. And people who are serving at church, who are professors at college, who are family, husband and wife, and everything. But they put it in their mind, every Sunday will be there to serve. Period. And they're very busy, very busy. I know them personally. Again, I'm just throwing that question. What is this? What is behind that? What is behind that? How can we change our mind? Even if it's too late for us, how can we change the mind of our people, our children, our Sunday school kids, those who we serve, those who we interact with? Remember last time when we were talking about take the opportunity, redeem the time, right? Be in the prayer, because the time is evil, it will pass. That every chance that we have to serve and we don't serve, every chance we have that we actually give something back to him and we don't, it's gone. We cannot bring it back. It's an opportunity for us to live and to experience. And at the end, these names are written in the Bible. What a glory. Think of it. Somebody like one of those names, Onesimus, for example, known all over the world now. His name is mentioned throughout the whole universe in the Bible as the fellow servant and the fellow prisoner, the fellow part of establishing the church. What more glory can be than that? So what's behind that? I think it's something that we need to take some time and pray about it and think about it. What is it? How can we have that mindset of giving regardless and not considering what we give as loss, but as gain? That's what St. Paul said. That's why he said this. Because not only from his own experience, but from the experience of the people that served with him, and he's seen them. So that becomes all one mindset. One mindset. People who have all the same, and that's another reason for definitely behind and after the grace of God. But that's one reason for the spreading of Christianity, that they all had the same vision, the same mindset. And we all know, if you talk about leadership, if you want to cast a vision, the first thing to do is what? Find people with similar mindsets. right? If I have a vision and want this vision to be an actual reality, I can't just do it on my own. I have to find people who have the same mindset. We all agree on something. So what I'm saying is not foreign language to you. No, this is exactly, we all work together. And that's exactly what St. Paul says here. And that's what we learn from this passage, from those few names, that these people had the same mindset. They all had what, instead of the mindset, I'll change it to a more biblical text. They all have what? Who can catch this? The mind of Christ. Thank you, William. Beautiful. Let us all have the mind of Christ. Philippians 2, which was what? Emptied himself, obeyed, offered himself. That's what's common with all those names here. At least the first group. That's still the first group. People who stayed. Why? Because they all had the mind of Christ. Mind of Christ. So it's not me and you. It's not like, no, I don't agree with what you do. You're crazy. Why would you go all the way to this country and serve? Why would you go here? Why would you let go of your profession and your work? And why would you be, by your choice, serving St. Paul in the prison? You can go find another life there. But no, they all had the same mindset. So what they said, they actually encourage each other. You know, when you have people on the same mindset, like I know, just looking at you and you looking at me, we're in agreement, right? We can read each other. So that's the beauty. Again, these are just 4 names we're talking about, right? But it's so important and so strong and so empowering to see why St. Paul mentioned them and what's behind it. Again, it's not just a name, but people who were all together in the same mindset, that they had the chance to leave. They had the chance to go away. They had the chance to live a better life in another term, but they all decided to what? To stay. And that's why they had the glory and the honor that their names are written in the book of life. From that time till the end of time, their names will be mentioned. Whether we can pronounce it or not, that's our problem. But we should be able to, because these names are inspiring people. Any questions or comments? So next time we'll pass by the other two men. Said men who stayed, but then we have a man of prayer and a man who strayed. So we'll just go through them, and then God willing, we'll see what would be the next book to study together. Questions, comments? Okay, I either lost you or I talked too much. Okay, let's pray. Thank you everybody for joining, and welcome Melinda again. Hopefully to see you in person sometime, and to see you again next week. Dua, good to have you. Dr. Samir, safe travel. Bishoy, see you, and Fahim and Magdi, take care. Let's pray.
Thank you for the video.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Finally, Lord, here, so we pray together, saying, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Give us this day, give us our trespasses, forgive those trespasses. Lead us not temptation, but deliver us. Thine is the kingdom, power, and glory, now for ages. May the love of God the Father, the grace of His only begotten Son, the communion of the Holy Spirit with you. Go in peace. Peace be with you all. Amen. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow at liturgy, whoever is here. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, Abuna.
Thank you. Take care. Good night. Bye-bye.